Hi there. So you're an online course creator, or maybe you're looking to create your first online course, which means you're in the business of changing lives. You care deeply about whether or not your students complete your course because you want them to experience the transformation they're after. This means that you want to create online course videos that are so engaging that every single one of your students is hooked from start to finish, much like you're hooked on an awesome movie. That's why in this video, I'm walking you through exactly how to create captivating course videos. In case you're tuning into my channel for the first time, hi there. I'm Marisa Murgatroyd, and I've coached and supported tens of thousands of entrepreneurs, from side hustlers to seven-figure empires, on how to grow your online business. And I'm widely considered one of the top online course experts in the world. One of the most important things I teach my students, no matter their level, is how to turn students into customers for life, customers who continually refer people. And one of the best ways to do this is through your course content. Yet so many course creators are still going the traditional route, the buttoned up style of teaching, which involves boring lectures with no end in sight.
Please go away.
No one has time for that. So if you're ready to create online course videos that'll have your students hooked from the start and keep them hooked until the end, I'm talking about the kind of course they can't wait to share with their friends, much like you can't wait to tell your friends about an awesome movie you just watched. Then keep watching. Because what I'm about to share is something that took me a lot of trial and error, so consider this video your major shortcut to success. First, you want to outline and script your videos. There's a reason why script writers are so important in Hollywood. They understand word choice, pacing, cues, and so much more. The good news is that you can use these same techniques to create awesome course videos. Now, I know it may be tempting to just wing it. After all, you know your stuff. But when you just wing it, it leads to a lot of filler words, rambling, talking in circles, and repeating yourself.
Yeah.
That's why movies aren't improvised. So rather than going off the cuff, try working from an outline or a script. When you outline your content, it's a lot easier to create a clear structure. There's a clear beginning, middle, and end. Here's the thing, as humans, we crave structure, especially when we're trying to learn something new. That's where an outline comes in. But you might want to take it up a notch and actually script your videos. Scripting is simply writing down what you plan to say and show in your videos before you start recording. When you script, it's so much easier for you to say only what you want to say. You won't be as nervous and you'll be way less likely to talk in circles or go off on completely unrelated tangents. This is especially true if you're a beginner. When you're just getting started filming videos, nerves may take over and you'll start to use a lot of filler words. I'm talking about and like, you know, so actually, basically, I mean, right? And the dreaded well. Nothing will have your students tune you out and turn you off than a lot of ums and wells. No judgment here. I've watched videos of myself from back in the day and couldn't help but cringe. That's why I love scripting and have worked to get good at it. When your videos are structured and clear, it's easier for your students to engage and stay checked into your lesson until the very end. So resist the temptation to just wing it. Now, once you get more comfortable, you may find a detailed outline gets you into a better flow than having to read word for word from a script. Either way is perfectly fine. Do whatever works best for you. That said, I definitely recommend scripting when you're first getting started. Now, when it comes to scripting, here are a few tips that I've learned after doing it for many years. Break up longer text into different lines. It's easier to read from a teleprompter that way. Add in relevant pauses so you're not rushed and you're reminded to pause for emphasis. Include fun and relevant props that surprise and delight your students at various points. Speaking of props, add action prompts for each prop into your script. For instance, put on your 3D glasses and throw popcorn at the screen, right? That will remind you to do the actions at the right time. You can even create fun GIFs from elements that you film that you can use later in texts, emails, and private communities, much like the GIFs from your favorite movies that you may share with your friends. It's the gift that keeps on giving, lol. So here are some of my favorite gifts that I've created from my videos. All right, you ready for the next key to keeping your students as engaged in your course content as they would be watching their favorite movies? I'm talking about open loops. An open loop is a dramatic principle that creates movies that you can't take your eyes off of, emails you're compelled to open, and products you're inspired to buy. And it can also transform your course content from snooze-worthy to spectacular.
Spectacular content, yo.
When you use an open loop, you open a story but then wait to conclude or close the story until later in the email, article, or video. It's a way to keep your audience on the edge of their seats, ready to find out what happens next. My husband Murray is a pro at this. In fact, an open loop is how I knew that he was the one. After we first met at Brennan Burchard's Experts Academy way back in 2011, Murray sent me an email with the subject line, "Hey you." The email was bold and charming, and it had me absolutely hooked. He had done his research. He knew who I was, he knew what I liked, and he knew how to talk to me in a way that drew me in. You can see a snippet of that email here on the screen. I thought I'd Google your name, and in this half-asleep state, I'm looking at your photos of Bangkok and Brazil and Laos and Greece, seeing what you've seen, and thinking one simple thought: how cool it would be to go traveling together one day. You with your camera, me with mine. Once we both get our content businesses up and running and no longer have any good reason to stay rooted in one spot. Sound good? The only question that remains is, where shall we go? Murray created an open loop in the subject line that he closed in the body of the email. And we ended up writing to each other for 7 months before we had our first date. It was the same week I launched Live Your Message. And 8 months later, we were traveling the world together with our cameras. And pretty much every subject line he used to woo me during that 7-month period created curiosity and tension. He had me hooked from the very beginning. And you want to woo your students too. Here's the thing. As humans, we're wired with the need to know how a story plays out. As the famous novelist Anton Chekhov wrote, if you say in the first chapter that there's a rifle hanging on the wall, in the second or third chapter, it absolutely must go off. If it's not going to be fired, it shouldn't be hanging there. Try using open loops to make your online course videos more engaging by introducing a story and then interrupting it with a lesson or hinting at future concepts or ideas you'll be covering. Your students' desire to know what happens will keep them invested.
Oh my God.
All while they're learning and transforming along the way. Okay, ready for the next proven technique to master the art of captivating course videos? This one might just make you nervous, but stick with me. You want to get in front of a camera. Yep, you heard me right. Back in 2021, I decided to refilm all the videos for my signature course, the Experience Product Masterclass, direct to camera, just like this. I did this during one of the busiest times for me when I was juggling a lot. And I ended up filming over 60 hours. That's the equivalent of watching a Martin Scorsese film more than 15 times. That's a lot of filming, but it was worth it because it skyrocketed our student engagement. The most recent cohort of the Experience Product Masterclass had an incredible 59% completion rate. Now compare that to traditional online courses which sit around at a completely unacceptable 3% completion rate. So all that hard work going direct to camera, along with the other upgrades I teach, was definitely well worth it. Now, this isn't the only way to film your course. You can also do slides, screen shares, or a combination of both with voiceover. I'm not opposed to these techniques at all. I even have a video tutorial that you can watch here on YouTube on how to create and record voiceover slides for your course. You can find that link in the description below. But I've definitely found that when your students can see you, it really helps build a more personal relationship, even though you're on camera. It's almost like your students can see into your soul in a good way, not a creepy way. The truth is that humans like to see other humans. So even if you don't feel completely natural on camera yet, it's still going to be more engaging for your students. Now, when you're on camera, your students can see your facial expressions, your hand gestures, your body language, which allows them to feel more connected to you and to the content you're teaching them. Don't worry about being perfect. I found that students appreciate those little mishaps that are bound to happen when you pronounce a word or say something unintentionally funny, or maybe even use just too many hand gestures, as it makes you more human instead of being a robot. So if you want more tips for feeling more comfortable and confident on camera, I've got a video for you to check out after this one. Check out the link in the description below. Okay, now let's talk about something that, when combined with direct-to-camera video, will make your content irresistible to your students, much like an event movie, which is a movie that everyone is talking about. Think about the superhero movies that reigned supreme for years and years and that everyone headed to the theater to watch. This is a technique that has audiences clapping and cheering in their seats. I'm talking about combining direct-to-camera with slides and graphics. Now, while it takes a little more work to create, slides and graphics give you an opportunity to present content in a much more tangible way for your students than if you were to just speak it. This is especially great for facts that you want your students to remember, like this one. Online courses are still the easiest, fastest, cheapest way to build an online business that gives you the freedom, income, and impact you're looking for, or for specific numbers, figures, important definitions, and even quotes, such as only 3 to 7% of people complete traditional online courses, but using the experience formula methodology I teach, you can skyrocket student completion and success 10 to 30 times, leading to repeat sales, referrals, and lots of positive testimonials and success stories. If you don't use graphics or slides to illustrate your main teaching points, your students have to work to structure that info in their heads, shifting their focus away from the core of what you're teaching. So you want to structure your content for them in a way that makes it easier for your students to actually visualize it. Not only that, but graphics and slides are a great pattern interrupt, so you're not making your students just watch you. Now, that can get boring no matter how much of a video star you are. Just when you thought we couldn't possibly make your videos more engaging, in pops demonstration B-roll and fun GIFs. Now think of these as the unsung heroes of your course videos. Demonstration B-roll are cutaway shots where you're demonstrating how to do what you're teaching. Examples can include overhead shots of you drawing or crafting something, shots of you setting up equipment, or shots of you performing a yoga pose. Along with your graphics and slides, demonstration B-roll can break up the monotony of the talking head
Anyone?
and show your students a real-world example of what you're teaching. This is instantly more engaging because when your students can see you demonstrating something, it makes it easier for them to visualize themselves doing it.
Watch it. Now!
Achieving the transformation they're after. Next, let's chat about GIFs. GIFs are such an easy and fun way to make your videos more engaging. After all, who doesn't love a great GIF, right?
I love you.
You want to make sure your GIFs are relevant to your content and don't use them too much. GIFs are silly, and if you overuse them, it might make your content seem too immature. Just sprinkle them in to mix it up and keep your students engaged. Perhaps you had a fun celebratory gift after a particularly difficult lesson. So you celebrate students as they complete that lesson while bringing in a little bit of lightness before they move on to the next lesson. Okay, what's something that separates the forgettable movies from the ones that stand the test of time? Editing. And this is definitely one of the things that separates the amateurs from the pros. It's the difference between a movie from 2012 called Jurassic Shark and one of the best movies of all time, the 1975 classic Jaws. Well, not the only difference, but definitely a key difference. Also the acting, directing, cinematography, music, you get it. My point is that editing not only matters, it's absolutely critical. Even if you read from a script and don't have any filler words to remove, you still need to edit. Why? Well, even when you're delivering from a perfect word-for-word script, You might have bad takes and way too long pauses between sentences. You also might decide to refilm parts because you know you can do it better, even if the first take wasn't necessarily bad. As I covered earlier, when you're reading from a script, you don't want to start and stop too much. It'll make your video unnatural. Instead, just keep going. And then you might say, hey, I'm gonna refilm that intro section or whatever section again because I know I've got something even better in me. I like to refer to this concept as a safety take, where you deliver it and know it's good enough to run with, which gives you so much freedom in your next take. There could be sections where there's a bit of a pause between paragraphs, or maybe awkward silences at the beginning and the end. You might even find sentences or paragraphs that are unnecessary and can be cut to make the information in your video clearer. A good edit really helps your videos flow so much more smoothly while keeping them a bit more concise, which is important in today's ultra busy world. I'll cover that one more in just a bit. Now, if you don't have the time or the chops to edit your own videos, check out Upwork or Fiverr for freelance video editors. Depending on the length of your videos and how detailed you are, you can do this relatively inexpensively and quickly. One thing I really want to iterate is that when you're first getting started, you don't need all the fancy editing bells and whistles. Just keep it simple. You can work your way up to a higher production value and more polished videos. Have you ever watched a movie where the plot went all over the place and you ended up lost and you gave up on it well before the end? You kind of felt like doing this, or maybe you actually even did. It's even worse when a movie starts off strong and just gets worse and worse as it goes along, completely going off the rails. The same can happen with your online course. If you make the one mistake course creators have been making for many years, overstuffing every module with way too much information, much like the old school info products of the past, you end up with this huge thud. This is the worst sound in the online course world. In the Experience Product Masterclass, we purposely pace our trainings because when too much information is thrown at our students all at once, it leads to what I call the downward dust spiral, which leads to students getting overwhelmed, shutting down, leaving, and never achieving the transformation they were after. Here's the thing. Our brains can only process so much at a time. And by breaking down complex topics into smaller, manageable chunks, we make learning more digestible and less daunting. Let's face it, attention spans aren't what they used to be. Shorter, more focused lessons fit perfectly into our busy lives. Students can learn during a coffee break, on their commute, or in between meetings. We have students who work full-time jobs while raising a family and are still successful in our programs because we've adapted to their reality, a reality that so many of your students also face. It's about fitting education into your life, not the other way around. Smaller lessons mean higher retention. When students aren't overwhelmed, they're more likely to absorb and remember what they've learned. So as you review each module, ask yourself, am I teaching just one concept here? Or have I crammed multiple concepts into one lesson? Is there anything I can cut out? Maybe you went on a tangent or over-explained a concept. We've all done this. Or perhaps a meatier concept can be broken into several videos. Let's say one module includes a 6-step process that can be broken up into, say, 3 separate videos. Your student will still learn the same information, but you're less likely to lose their attention. Sometimes a lesson video needs to be 9 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes, sometimes even 60 to 90 minutes. But it's always a good idea to ask yourself if you can break your video into smaller, more digestible chunks. Next up, you want to film a welcome video that congratulates your new students while setting expectations and preparing them for the journey ahead. In this video, you can give them what I call a bird's eye view, where you walk them through an overview of the structure of your course and what you'll cover in each module so they know what's to come. In addition to a welcome video that onboards students into your course, you can also film quick intro videos for each module. That way, you can give your students a preview of the content for that module and share what you hope for them to learn or accomplish by the end of it. Intro videos make your other video content more engaging because they help your students anticipate what they'll learn and help them imagine what's possible when they continue. Now, to amp up the effectiveness of welcome and intro videos, I recommend rewarding students for watching. When you host your course on a platform that prioritizes gamification, like Experientify, the learning management system that I built with my husband Murray, students can check off actions and get points, complete with fun sound effects. It makes them feel like they're winning, which they are, and winning is hugely motivating for us as humans. Okay, we've covered outlining and scripting, open loops, filming direct to camera, graphics and slides, demonstration BRoll, GIFs, editing, and breaking down your content into more manageable chunks. I'd say you've got quite the hit on your hands. The kind of online course that'll keep your students hooked from start to finish. Woohoo! But we are not done yet. To truly take your course to the next level, include things like companion materials. I'm talking about downloadable fill-in-the-blank templates, checklists, guides, and even quizzes that'll help supplement your video content and keep your students' attention because they don't want to miss one of the blanks. You want to tailor these companion materials to what you're teaching in your videos. Much like when you were in elementary school, giving your students something to do will skyrocket retention so they achieve the transformation they were after.
Yes.
All right, there you have it. How to create course videos that keep your students hooked from start to finish. Instead of doing the opposite, right? Awesome. I'm so excited to see the life-changing course you create.
Woo! Yay, yay!
Thanks for watching. I appreciate it so, so much. And drop me a comment with where you're at in your course creation journey and what you'd love for me to cover next. Oh, I mentioned a few more tutorials earlier in the video. If you want to gain more camera confidence so you can go from intimidated to confidence, check out my video with 10 tips and tricks to help you be a total video pro. And then I've got a video on how to easily create and record voiceover slides for your online course. Now, I know I encourage you to film direct to camera, but what I most want is for you to get your life-changing content into the hands of those who need it, meaning your students. So if you're not quite to the direct to camera stage, check out that video too. Just don't wait. Take action right now to create your life-transforming online course. You got this. And if you want to learn more about my programs designed to support you where you're at right now to get you where you want to go, I've dropped details in the comments below, plus some free resources for you. So check those out. And if you like this one, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Now go out there and live your message.